Hey everybody, you're listening to Crazy Country 105.9, and you are listening to Chopping It Up, and that means it's 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning. And Crazy Country is one of the last independent radio stations in California, and that makes it a local station. So one of the things we wanted to do is have local people inside, people that are born and bred in the Santa Ynez Valley. And today we have someone who is right out of a movie. Born and raised in the Santa Barbara, in San Ynez Valley, leaves, never thinks he's going to come back, and then comes back, becomes the head football coach. He is the athletic director. It is Josh McClurg. You know him. You love him. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Keith. Or hate him. You know, it depends who you talk to.
50-50.
Yeah, it's a roll of the dice.
Listen, if everybody likes you, you're doing something wrong.
I agree 100%.
So we're talking about local sports, and you are the ambassador of local sports and how much it... Really, it's one of those things that's like the fabric of a community, right? You can live in a community, but high school football on Friday nights and games throughout the week. My son plays water polo, and we wanted to have you in just to not only talk about high school sports, but what it does for a community.
It's I think it's one of those things that's so uniting, and Santa Ynez is so different and so many different parts of this, then so many different parts of the states. It's really like you took small town Texas and dropped it in the middle of Central California or the Central Coast. I mean, the town shuts down on Friday nights. We had a packed gym last night for girls basketball game for senior night. It's really special how this town rallies around its sports teams, and it's even not just sports, FFA, drama, Gary Smergen's Auto Club. There's just so much to be going on around here, and it's truly part of the fabric of what makes this place so special, as evident of how many small businesses, owners, and you know this, that were born and raised here, and then they're the reason why these sports programs, you know, get to take a charter bus to playoff games. They make sure that they're funding it, and they don't have to. They just do it out of the kindness of their heart or the love for pirate sports.
You know, when you brought up like Texas football, right? It's like how many TV shows have been made about that? But I feel exactly what you said. It's like the fact of the matter is there's a lot of people here, and our youth, which I think is a major contributing factor to why the Valley's so great. I mean, if you raise a kid here, I always thought this is why we moved here. We moved here to raise our kids here. And the whole goal is, you know, one day they'll outgrow the pot and go somewhere else and go do something else, which my daughter's done and my son's going to do. But let's talk about your story. So you were born and raised here, correct?
I was born in Santa Barbara, and then
I like how you made that distinction. Well, that was good. Santa Barbara. I wasn't born actually here, right?
And my parents, they lived, because my parents went to Dos Pueblos. They were from Santa Barbara, and then they moved up here when I was 6 months old. Bought a house on Meadowvale, and the rest is history that way. Like becoming a Santa Ynez Pirate, my dad immediately started going to every Pirate home football game when he moved up here, because he played football at Santa Barbara City. And then, you know, I have two siblings, Sarah and Jeff, and then just grew up loving it. I mean, in Santa Ynez back in the day, we were able to get on our bikes. My parents would be like, be home before dark. Yeah. And, you know, when I was in third grade, we had a horse, and we lived on Willow Street that backed up to now I think it's charter school, right next to Alan Panoli's dad's house. And we built that house. And we would ride our horse bareback into to the feed store. We're in third grade. I'm in third grade. That's and, you know, awesome. However many friends could fit on that old mare, and then go get the not nickel, but 25-cent Coke bottle.
It's Little Rascals, man.
It was so, we had a blast. Whether it was old Santa Ynez days, throwing water balloons at people and just running around causing havoc. But it was a great place to grow up. And I do remember from a very young age, I had a dream to play, you know, high school football at St. Ynez. I remember watching Rod Smalley and Matt Homey when I was, and David Gandolfo when I was in 7th and 8th grade. Yeah. And just going, I can't wait to get my name on the back of that jersey and play football there. And then it turned into, I want to play college football. I'm going to be the first person to play at a 4-year school in my family and get a degree. And that was kind of like my goal.
So what did you do?
So after high school, I got in a bit of trouble in high school. You know, nothing to get arrested, but...
Well... You know, I had to move. That's why I live here. You know, I got in so much trouble. I'm like, I need to get out.
I'm surprised they hired me back at St. Ynez High School.
Short memories are great.
It's the best. And thank God for no internet and cell phones back when we were kids. Right. So I actually went to Hancock. I did not get any offers. I had to put myself through school. My dad was still is in the flooring industry, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom for most of our youth until we were all in high school. And so, you know, we had we never went without, but we didn't have a lot of stuff. So put myself through school, went to Hancock, waited tables at night. I worked at the Marriott. And then played football at Hancock for 2 years, and then was recruited by Humboldt State, Cal Poly, and Chico State.
Where'd you end up?
Well, I took a visit to Chico State, and that was the only visit I needed to take. I fell in love with the place, fell in love with the guys, moved up there, really enjoyed my time at Chico. And then going into our senior year of football, we had just had our banquet. I got named one of the captains, one of 2 defensive captains. And then in March or end of February, they dropped the football program due to Title IX. It was right around the same time Sonoma State. There was a bunch of schools that dropped programs. I was kind of heartbroken and mad at football, that I didn't like I was kind of lost. Like my whole life had been regimented, like off-season lifting, study hall, and it was good for me. I love structure, and so I was like, what I could transfer for a year to a school where I might play special teams. Being an undersized guy, you always had to prove yourself to get on the field. And then I met my wife at the Crazy Horse Saloon, the country bar in Chico that has the only mechanical bull in the North State.
This is fantastic.
And I'm not even we grew up hunting and being, and we had a horse, but I'm not a cowboy. Right. But my buddy who played football at College of the Redwoods with my cousins, there's like 5 McClurg cousins that live in the Humboldt area. They were actually born in St. Ynez as well. They're like, hey, you would love this guy. His name's Cooper. They call him Cowboy Cooper. And he was a team roper. He out of high school, he went to high school in Big Valley, New Beaver. It's about 2.5 hours northeast of Redding on the way to Susanville. Carla and Randy Jacobson have property up there where they grow hay now. Yeah. So it's tiny. It's like we think Santa Ynez is small. There's like 3 towns of 500 people. That's where he's from. And so he wanted to come back, played football with my cousins, and they're like, "You'd love this guy. He's crazy, he's wild, he's a great football player." So we became best friends. And that night, I had not turned 21 yet, but I had an ID that said I was.
Right. I don't know if you should admit it.
That's all right. Yeah. It's a great story in the fact that I tricked my wife.
Yeah.
So it was March 4th, 1997. Cooper and I went out to the Crazy Horse, and we're just in flip-flops and shorts and T-shirts, and we asked some girls to dance, and they turned us down. No, you're not cowboy. And so he's all mad. So he's like, all right, I am a cowboy. I know you're not. He's like, but I got some old Wranglers that you're going to wear and some old boots when I was in high school, because he's way bigger than me. So we put them on, go to the Crazy Horse, see my wife, ask her to dance. We dance. And I think she's wanting to dance with me because I've got Wranglers and boots on and all this stuff. No, it had nothing to do with it. And so that was March 5th, 1997. So then we go on a date 2 weeks later, and we're walking to go to this little hole-in-the-wall movie theater that showed indie flicks, and we were going to see Swingers. It just came out with Jon Favreau. And I pull out my wallet to get money out of the ATM, and my ID's looking at me in my face. And I'm like, I really like this girl. Like, I talked to her on the phone for 4 or 5 different times, and so I'm like, you know what? I might have told you
on a landline.
On a landline. I might have told you a little fib. I told you I was turning 22 in a month. I'm turning 21 in a month. She was 24 at the time, and she's like, "You're younger than my sister."
That's great.
So she took a chance, and it all worked out, and then we ended up getting married.
So how did you find your way back to Santa Ynez?
So after Angela and I got married, we got teaching jobs. We were just finishing up at Chico State, and our plan was to move back to Chico. We loved the town, loved the community, had a lot of close friends there. And it's just a bigger Santa Ynez. It's actually San Luis Obispo, just thrown in Northern California, right?
Yep.
So our master teachers who we did our student teaching under were both going to retire in 3 years. And so they're like, we want you guys to take over for us. So then we moved to Sacramento, of all places, to get a teaching job. And it paid well for Sac City Unified. And we taught there, and the kids I taught were, the school was in East Sac, but the kids were bussed in from Oak Park. Oak Park's the equivalent of a Compton, and it's a uniform school. It was a junior high, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And so I taught there. And it was a blast. I coached basketball, did not coach football. I had no plans of ever going back to football. I was just still irritated at football because it took away my senior year. And it wasn't football's fault. It's just how I,
life.
Yeah.
Cards.
And my wife tried at the same district, similar school. And then she got pregnant, and we found out we were having twins. And at that time, we were looking to buy a house. We had a bunch of money saved up, and we were going to buy a house up there in Elk Grove. And then we both one night went out to dinner and talking about it, and we do not want to raise a family in Sacramento.
Yep.
We don't want to be in the city.
Yep.
And she's from the East Bay, from like Walnut Creek, Concord area, actually right down the street from De La Salle, probably not even a mile. And she fell in love with Santa Ynez when I was dating her. I brought her down here for my brother's high school graduation. She's like, this place is beautiful.
Yep.
You know it. Like, it took her a while. It tripped her out that like we're all hanging out, drinking beers with my ex-girlfriend's there, my buddy. She just took her a while to wrap her mind around small town San Ynez that everybody. But she liked it, and so she just said on a whim, let's see if we can move back to the valley. My dad talked to my dad, and he goes, hey, it's been good the last 2 years for the flooring business. I got some money saved up. I'll go in on with you. I loan you some money we'll build a house. The Tomasini's, they had a little portion, this little like 5 lots connected to each other in Los Alamos. Alan Tomasini still lives there on the corner of one of them. And it had an old barn that this old guy who ran irrigation in Los Alamos stored all of his stuff in. They ended up selling it to us, but it took us like months to see if we could build on it because it's a smaller lot than you can build on Santa Barbara County.
Santa Barbara County, yeah.
But come to find out, in 1953, it was given a lot number because it had sewer to it and power. So long story short, built a house there, we had our 3 sons, Cash and Canyon, the twins, and then Ryder. And when we moved down, like I didn't even have a job. We're going to build this house.
You're going to make it happen.
I'm like, if I don't get a teaching job, I'll lay floors. I know what I'm doing. I can make a decent living. I can hustle and work side jobs and stuff. So I got a job at the last second.
By the way, that is a pretty standard story in the valley. Like,
right?
Like when we moved here, I was like, what are you going to do? I don't know. We'll figure it out. We're going to figure it out.
I mean, nowadays I could never imagine doing that. Like it blew my mind. Wait, I don't have a steady income? Like, what are we going to do?
You mean because you're an adult?
Yeah. It's that old thing. Men don't have a choice. We just have to do what we're supposed to do.
Get up and go outside. You'll be fine.
And at the time, like we knew we were having twins, and we had figured out what it was going to cost for daycare, and it was going to be a wash. Like if she went back to work, she'd maybe make $200 or $300. So I ended up at the last second. I was actually helping coach football. Coach Grundyke was the coach. It was summer of 2003, and I was out there just helping out. And he's like, "Hey, there's a campus security job opening up." I'm like, "Oh, what does it pay?" He's like, $12 an hour. I'm like, "I can't do that, man. There's just no way.
Right.
Like I can make way more laying floors." And I got a job with Lucia Mar Unified School District. So that's Arroyo Grande, Napomo, and the 5 cities area.
Yeah.
And the only job I could get was being an elementary PE specialist, which is absolutely, for me, the worst job in the world.
Right. Do a lap.
It was like, no, you got like first graders. They want to hug you.
Yeah.
And it's like you got to come up with different tag games to play. So after a year, I told my wife, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Like, I hated my job. And I was at Harlow Elementary in Arroyo Grande and Shell Beach Elementary, the one right off the freeway. It's beautiful, gorgeous. And so it's April and I'm walking to my car and this nice convertible sports car pulls up and it's got this guy named Dwight McDonald, who had been the longtime athletic director at Arroyo Grande High School. I had Dwight's daughter in my class in 5th grade or 6th grade, and he goes to me, he goes, "Hey, I'm Dwight McDonald. I'm now the AD at Napomo High School, which just opened. We only had JV football last year. This year we're going to have freshmen, varsity, and JV. We need a JV head football coach." And he goes, "Are you the same Josh McClurg that played at Santa Ynez and Hancock?" And I go, yeah, I am. He goes, "All right, job's yours." I go, "Is there a possibility that I can transfer to the high school?" And he goes, "Let's see how you do coaching for a year." So long story short, go home, tell my wife we have newborn twins at home, 8 months old. And the twins were born 3 months early. So they spent the first 3 months of their life in the NICU, like not knowing if they're going to live or not. And we're living off credit cards because she's not working. And I'm laying floors every weekend and every like Christmas break, summer break. I'm working nonstop. So I told her, I'm like, "Hey, can I do this? Because I think it's a way for me to get to the high school, at least the high school level where I feel more comfortable."
Yeah.
And so we agreed to do it. My team goes 7-3. I had no idea what I was doing. Like I thought, because I was good at football. Like
you could coach it.
No
Right?
clue. It was it was fun but crazy. And then John Hitchin, who was the head coach at the time, he goes the next year. He's like, "We want to move you up to varsity to be the DB coach, and there's a spot open to transfer." So I transferred to Napomo. Within 2 years, I became the defensive coordinator under Russ Edwards, and in 2009, Ken Grundyke calls me up. And so Ken had kind of stepped down from coaching and not sure why, and in 2004. So from 4 to 2008, he was not the head coach. Well, the head coach got let go in 2008, and they rehired Kenny. Kenny had been the freshman coach, and the group he had as freshmen were really good. It was Ken Jensen's son, Lee Jensen, a lot of good athletes in that group, Bobby Moore. And he calls me up in 2009 and goes, this group's going to be sophomores. Will you come be my defensive coordinator for 3 years? I'm retiring in 3 years. It'll get your foot in the door. And I said, I can't do it. This 2009 group, we had at Napomo, and this is in like March. This team is really good. I've had them for a long time. I can't do it, and I can't like justify teaching at one place and not coaching there for 3 years. So that team ends up, at the time, best team in school history at Napomo, 4 D1 guys. We ended up playing Sarah from down south, and the state, they ended in the quarterfinals. They had Robert Woods and Marquise Lee, all these future NFL players, and it was a great experience. So then in 2011, or going in, January 2011, Ken calls me again and goes, I'm done. You don't have a coordinator spot, but you're basically going to be like the associate head coach in training.
Excellent.
And he goes, this is a way for you to get your foot in the door and like kind of prove to some of the old teachers and admin that you're a different Josh McClurg now, because you were kind of wild back in the day.
Right.
And so end up doing that. Russ Edwards, who's still the head coach at Napomo, he when I told him, he didn't speak to me for 4 months, and we worked in the same office. We were both PE teachers.
So what was it like walking back onto the campus of like a high school, and then all of a sudden you're a coach?
Well, it was crazy for me, like surreal. Like, I mean, I couldn't wait to wear black and orange. I can remember the head coach in 2005 at St. Ynez changed their helmets to all black, no orange at all. Like we do orange with black a couple of times, but we got to stay orange. That's tradition. And I was mad. Like, I wrote an email to Ken Frederickson at the time, and like, how dare this coach, and blah blah blah. Just being an idiot. So when I walked back on campus, what was crazy was then in 2012 I get hired as the PE teacher and football coach. My first faculty meeting, I sat next to Jeff Reck, who was my basketball coach in my sophomore year, and he's hilarious.
Like, what are you doing?
He is the funniest guy in the world, and he's just like, I wish I could say some of the things he says, but I know the FCC will not like it. So I sat next to and Steve Gunning, all these guys that were my coaches and teachers, and they're like, we always thought you'd end up in jail.
Yeah, perfect.
So it was crazy coming back on campus. But the funny thing is, at that time, for whatever reason, so that's like right around 2012. Remember, we had like a big boom of people moving into the valley in like 99, 2000. Yeah. I would say a big majority of these parents were not like local Santa Ynez people, so they didn't know who I was.
That was me. Yeah.
They thought I was from Napomo. So everyone's like, why'd we hire this trader from Napomo? Napomo's our rivals in youth football. And long story short, it all ended up good. And everyone's like, oh, no, I remember Rocco Roberts Sr. was telling someone.
He's like,
Rocco's like, Josh McClurg's been here for forever. His family's here. So that's how I ended up getting back to Santa Ynez.
Yeah. So, so now you're a head football coach.
Yep.
Athletic director.
I wasn't the AD at the time.
I know. I'm just following. I'm just catching everybody up. I mean, like we've been talking for 15 minutes already, and now we're up to date. So, what's your role now? You're head football coach, athletic director. So both of those things. I mean, tell me a little bit about Santa Ynez High School sports. And for everybody who's listening, how to get involved, how to watch, how to go support it. Because I think one of the things that's, like we said, is a huge fabric, right? The kids who are growing up participating in, sports, like hopefully everybody does. You learn teamwork. You learn camaraderie. You learn, how to have people depend on you. So it's like, how do you make that jump from, head football coach is one job to an AD where you're covering everything?
I will first start off with like how to find out where games are and schedules. There's a bunch of different places. The easiest place is syvuhsd.org. That's the high school webpage. You can just search the high school.
Or standing in line at El Rancho.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my other one.
And then go to the athletics page, and you can click on every sport, and what sport we're in will have the schedules up there. You can always go to Max Preps and search a sport and find their schedule. We also have SYHS_athletics on Instagram, which posts everything. They'll repost every team stuff, and so people know what's going on. The Santa Ynez Football Boosters page on Facebook. I'm only mentioning football as a separate entity because they kind of started all of the YouTube and the social media stuff before the school did.
Yeah.
So they just never did away with their YouTube page. And so again, and then there's SY Pirate Athletics. We live stream almost every indoor game, baseball game, soccer game, and football game on our YouTube page at SY Pirate Athletics.
Come on, let's get water polo on here, baby.
All we got it. We're waiting for the huddle.
That's right.
Focus camera, so we're in line.
Listen,
to beta test
I
it.
basically brought you in here just to say water polo needs more funding. That's all I'm saying to you. We need a new pool.
We do need a new pool. So that's how you can find us. I would say that. I forgot what the other question was. Man.
No, but I was just saying, for all the kids that are involved in high school sports, I mean, as the athletic director and head football coach, you're definitely in contact with tons of these kids. One of the things I wanted to have you on here to do is kind of talk about the kids that are involved and what you see that transition from you could be just a regular kid and not involved in any sports, not really into anything. My son's a great example of it. It's he grew up in the valley, screwing around, normal fun kid. And then all of a sudden COVID happens. Right. And he hate me that I'm gonna say it, but he was like a doughy junior high kid and sitting in COVID behind a stupid computer, his whole thing, and, munching chips. I mean, this sucks.
Yeah.
Right. And then high school comes along and he's like, I think I'm going to just pick the hardest sport I possibly can. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, I'm playing water polo. I'm like, great. And just watching that transformation from this freshman kid coming in to a 17-year-old kid that looks like, I can barely afford to feed. And it's like, wow, look at this transition, because he found a group of kids that he loved being around. He found a team he loved, school pride, all of it, And I just wanted you to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think you're just giving the story of your son is one of probably hundreds.
Yeah.
And figure right now we have about 78% of our 750 kids playing sports.
Okay, that's an amazing number.
Yeah.
Almost 80% of kids play a sport.
Yeah. And it's steadily got higher. I would say there's a couple of reasons. I know right now the last 2 or 3 years track has just exploded. And I think a big reason of that is because of Alan Pinoli. Alan Pinoli, super outgoing, very effervescent, great with the kids.
Another homegrown kid.
Yeah, and Alan and I grew up together. We've known each other since we were born. That's another funny story why that happened. But for another time,
yes.
There's too many of them. But he does a great job. So when he took over, we had 50 kids on the track team, and right now we have 160 signed up. So and track's one of those sports that a lot of kids that aren't athletes are not team sports players.
Yeah.
It's great for because it gives you a social outlet. There's so many different types of people.
Totally.
You play water polo or football or wrestling or basketball. You're all kind of team sports guys, and you know the grind because it's not just the 3 months they play in, right? It's
their
the
life.
off season. It's lifting, the morning, whatever it is. They live it and breathe it, and they love it. If they end up on the varsity level, they're bought in.
The way I would always describe it is that this is their core group of friends, and they happen to play water polo.
Yep.
Right. It's you have the soccer team is that's a group of friends, and they happen to play soccer.
I think my favorite stories that I love from team sports, and some of mine are going to come from football. Being the football coach prior to when I was the athletic director, we had a young man, and I'm not going to say his name, but he turned out to be a great football player for us. He was his freshman year. He was in my PE class when I was just teaching freshman PE, and our quarterback Jude Pritchard was a freshman as well. Mm-hmm. And this kid's a big kid, but he might have hung with the wrong crowd, and his grades might have not been a 2.0.
Yep.
And we're just pushing him. He's super athletic for his size, pushing him to play football, pushing him to play. So he comes out his sophomore year and falls in love with the sport. And then because he falls in love with the sport, he hasn't missed an off-season practice, anything. Mm-hmm. He's been over a 3.0. He's going to graduate. And all-league football player the last 2 years, and then never played it a day in his life until his sophomore year when he decided to do it.
I think that is such a great example. And, for people who don't have kids in the system right now, I think is a weird way to put it, but it's if your kids are in junior high or elementary, this is what's coming, right? Or if you are living in the Valley and you don't have kids here, maybe you moved in here later, this is, I think, a real success story, right? Right now, my daughter went through the high school, my son's going through the high school now, and I think it's such a fantastic time in Santa Ynez High School in general, right? Where I think the administration is awesome, the sports programs are awesome. You see things that are progressing, like beach volleyball. There's girls flag football. All of these different sports. Really, if you're a kid and you are involved in a sport, just like you were saying, you have other people you don't want to let down.
Yeah,
and I think for a kid, getting that little taste of responsibility, of having other people looking at you, and going, hey man, get your grades up. Like, we're counting on you here. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, I better go home and do this. I'm not just doing it for myself anymore. I'm doing it for my team, my school, my area. And there's nothing better than even during football season, you drive down the street and you see all the flags kind of set up. Our high school has a fantastic program. The new beach volleyball is beautiful. And it's like, there should be a lot of Santa Ynez Valley pride in where we go and what we do. And high school sports is a big part of that.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head. Our new superintendent, Dr. Sheehan, she is
fantastic. I got to have her in here. She's great.
She's awesome, and she can talk the legs off a chair too.
Yeah, you two. So me, you, and her. Nobody. A 4-hour show.
Yeah, we need more than 3 mics. But she is. I can't give her enough credit. I've worked for I can't tell you how many administrators, and she is by far the best.
I see her at every game I go to.
Yeah, and she doesn't even have to. I'm like, why are you here? Like, you're not signed up to, we have an admin sign-up shared doc where we all sign up. I'm like, you don't have to be here. She goes, yeah, what am I going to do, sit at home and watch TV?
I know.
So she's really big on going out and supporting the athletes and even our coaches. We hired a new wrestling coach this year, Sean Yamasaki, who is a stud.
How many kids do you have on the wrestling team, by the way?
Oh, my goodness, you're putting me on the spot.
No, I saw the picture in, I think, El Rancho again, where I get all my news. There look like there's 30 kids.
Oh, yeah, there's at least. Because I know we have 10 girls, and I think we have, I'm going to say, 28 boys.
That's awesome.
He's done a great job this year, and the first home wrestling match, she had a long day. I knew what her day was like because we had a couple meetings together. And I'm like, why are you here? She goes, well, this is our rookie head coach's first home match. I got to show up to support him.
Awesome.
So, like, just that, she's someone that leads by example, and it's, again, I wish she would have come here 10 years ago.
Sure.
Like, not at the tail end of her career. And I think I don't want to speak for her, but she said the same thing. She loves the Valley and loves the people here. I know, she's so awesome. I know she's going to retire here. It's just how soon or how long. And trust me,
we'll keep twisting arms.
Every day I'm trying to talk her into staying as long as she can. But yeah, this place, the pride we have, you couldn't have hit the nail on the head more in our sports. And just the amount of people that come back and care, that played. Let's just use like an Alex Asta who played water polo here. And he's the greatest water polo player in school history, like hands down. Dude was a stud. He comes back when they'll do their little alumni thing in the summertime, and he comes back every year. And he was very helpful in me getting to finally induct Coach Ian McPherson into the Wall of Honor.
Yep.
Coach McPherson was my favorite teacher when I was in high school. I'm a football player. He's a water polo player. Yeah. And back then in the early 90s, football and water polo players made fun of each other nonstop.
Yeah.
It's not like it is nowadays, where these kids are all buddies. We weren't necessarily.
I get it.
And I remember he walked into U.S. History junior year, first day of school, and he goes, who's a football player here? And like 6 of us raise our hand. We're like, yeah. And he goes, I hate football players. Sit down.
Yeah, it's perfect.
But then he treated us the same. He was such a good guy, and it was a great story because he ended up getting bone marrow cancer, and he had it for many years. And we used to always bug him when we were in class. When are we going to go out and have a glass of scotch with you, Mr. McPherson? He goes, when you turn 21, call me. So literally the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, we're all 21. We're sitting at my parents' house having a beer. We're going to go to the Maverick. We still had the yellow pages and the white pages. We pull it out.
Fantastic.
I call up Mr. McPherson and said, would you join us for a drink at the Maverick? And he goes, I'll meet you there in 20 minutes. Meet me on the porch. I can't be inside. I got to be in the cool air.
Yeah.
So he shows up. And so, like, the night before Thanksgiving is a high school reunion at the Maverick.
Yeah.
And the kids have their own name for it nowadays. We just called it the night before Thanksgiving. And buy him a drink. He tells us what to get, scotch on the rocks or whatever. Yeah. And you have everybody in the world coming up and wanting to have a drink with him. That's great. He looks at him and goes, I'm not drinking with you. He's like, the damn football players had enough guts to call me, so I'm having a drink with the football players.
That's great.
It was such a cool story.
So a couple other things we wanted to talk about as we run out of time. They renamed the football field. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so this is something we've been trying to do for a while, is rename it Rio Memorial Stadium. So Jeff Rio was my coach and like Alan's coach and all of us guys in that generation. He was an assistant coach, but he was fiery, passionate, treated us all the same, showed us love. He was just, it's a lot of how I model how I coach after. He passed away.
That's a legacy then?
Yeah, in like February of 96, I'm pretty sure. I know that's what it was. I was at Hancock, got the news. He passed away in a car accident driving back from visiting with his girlfriend, Erin Alexander, who was the best girls basketball player in school history. and unfortunately passed away. Well, Kenny finally talked Carl into helping out in like 2000. And when I got hired, my first 3 years we sucked. Or my first year we sucked. And I was like,
I called it mostly the coaching.
yeah, it's definitely the coaching. The cupboard was fully not bare. So there's many nights like after big lopsided losses, I'm sitting there like,
what am I doing?
Yeah, contemplating my life decisions. And Carl was
like, I grew up here. I can't do this.
yeah, I'm like, I'm sullying my name. And Carl's the one that would sit there, and anyone who's talked to Carl, he'd sit there and listen to me complain, and he'd just go, son, I love you. You're in the right spot. And so Carl ended up getting cancer, or he had it for a long time, but finally found out he had it in like 14. I had been asking him for years if we could bring back the Jeff Rio Memorial Golf Tournament, and he was like, we will bring it back soon. And we need to name the stadium after Jeff. No, we're not going to do that. So Carl passes away, and I wait some years. We bring back the Rio Memorial Tournament, and then I just happened to, because Mary Ellen and Steve and Mike were involved with the Rio Memorial. They come every year, still do. And after the second one, I'm like, all right, I'm going to ask Mary Ellen for a blessing.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to name it Rio Memorial Field after Jeff and Carl. Carl did track and football. They just touched so many people in this valley and so many youth. And Carl was our post office man for anyone that lived in Santa Ynez proper and trained horses out at Mandy's Land. And so thank God she said yes. And rest is history. We were able to get named.
Fantastic. So now there's a wall of fame going up.
Yeah, we've had a wall of fame for a minute now. I want to say like 15 or 16 years.
Okay.
Ken Frederickson started it, and it's different than a lot of other athletic hall of fames because you had to, of course, excel at your sport in high school. Then you needed to go on to college and play the sport for 4 years, unless there's like a caveat, like if there is a career-ending injury, life-changing result that you could not play your fourth year, you can still be eligible.
Got it.
And that was put in like 2009, I think. And then you had to graduate college. So you can't just be like an unbelievable athlete.
Yeah.
They wanted to Ken Frederickson created it, and they wanted to go on academics and athletics. Yeah. So we've been doing that. And actually, I think it's probably been going on since 2002 or 1. I can't remember. But I remember one of my teammates got inducted to one of the first ones, and I was like, why am I not inducted?
Right.
And so long story short, when I took over, we have this master list of eligibility. And I noticed that, and it was to no fault of anyone's, there's a lot of people's names on the list that are from like the late 70s, 80s, and early 90s that are very deserving that haven't been put on the list yet.
Yeah.
So
it's like getting in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
Why aren't they not in there yet?
Yeah, or, even the NFL Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I noticed a lot of like younger, 2000s grads were going in, and I'm like, I think we need to make a push to get some of the old guard back in. So that's what we've been doing. Today,
awesome.
I just spent the majority of my day on the phone, like contacting people.
Hey, would you like to be on a wall?
Yeah, I'm like, I got to find out, did you play in college? Your name's on the list, but it doesn't say if you played or not. So luckily, I was 100% everyone that we thought we wanted to put in.
That's awesome.
So excited about that, and I'll be contacting them officially in the next couple of weeks.
So as we wrap this up, what should people know about Santa Ynez High School sports?
It's true community event. I mean, we rely so much because each sport has its own boosters club. We don't have like an athletics boosters. We rely so much on the community and the small businesses to help support a lot of the things that they need.
I've never been to a school with more banners.
Yeah. I think it's awesome.
It's awesome.
And it makes me, when I see the banners up, I'm like, oh, it looks like so much
It's
pride
great.
in this valley. And
It's great.
And me now is like someone that kind of like doesn't have to drive to Walmart to buy my groceries anymore or whatever.
Yeah.
I'd much rather go into, El Rancho or Valley Fresh where I know that they purchase a banner.
Yep.
Like, okay,
spend your money in the hood, man. There's
like,
nothing better.
Okay, they just bought a banner. Charlotte buys a banner. I'm going to go look for a Mother's Day gift for my wife at Charlotte's, So I think it's kind of give and take. And I think the sports, though, like when you're on campus, the school pride on game days when you see all the kids in their jerseys, doesn't matter what sport it is.
Yeah.
And the big games and the playoff games when everyone's showing up and supporting each other, I think it just, that sense of community and pride it gives kids and adults alike is very special.
I love it because in my family, we played a lot of sports. My brother went on and played professional baseball. One of the things I've always said is, I was a C student, right? But I didn't know that didn't mean I was a C person. And there's so many different ways that you can excel in school. You can learn, hey, I love history or I love this, and go on academically to success, right? But sports, I've always found. It teaches you community. It teaches you camaraderie. It gives you a little taste of being responsible to other people around you. And the kids who excel in those things, and maybe, school's not their thing, but sports is, they can also learn that they're an A+ in another thing other than academics, right? And if we just judge kids on what their GPA is, we're really missing a real opportunity to teach kids like who they can be in this world. And I think high school sports is a great way to do it, and I think you're doing a great job.
Well, I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for coming in, and everybody, this has been Chopping It Up with Keith Saarloos. Go support San Ynez High School sports. I was going to say football, but I was going to support Santa Ynez High School water polo, man.
There you go.
Come on.
I agree.
Let's go Pirates. See you soon.